Hello and welcome to Business Today Television from the India Today Group studios here in the national capital. I have two of the budget makers with me, Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra and Dr. V. Anantha Nageswaran, the Chief Economic Advisor. Dr. Nageswaran, I'm coming to you for the big macro picture that the budget has spoken about, and more importantly, the fact that you continued on a path of fiscal consolidation which has been very positively received. Detail that out for our viewers.
Sure. I think the big macro themes that we had outlined in the economic survey focused on the need to create jobs, and we also discussed a lot about the skilling that needs to happen so that the Indian youth are employable, and also we spoke about how we should make our micro, small and medium enterprises more competitive, provide them financial security, give them marketing options, etc. And also we discussed a lot about energy security and energy transition. Now, if you look at all these three major themes, MSME, employment and skilling, and energy security, the budget devotes a lot of attention and resources and schemes to address all these aspects. And the boost given to first-time job creators and also for additional job creation in different sectors, all this will also naturally lead to income growth for households and therefore boost consumption as well, placing the prospects for economic growth on a much sounder footing through these budget measures.
One quick follow-up before I go to the Revenue Secretary. In terms of job creation, clearly the biggest focus, there have been schemes over the past 10 years, including Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana. What's different this time around, and can it really make a significant difference, given the survey spoke about creating 78 lakh odd jobs?
Yeah, actually, the schemes envisage collectively about 410 lakhs in terms of the job creation prospects, apart from additional skilling that it would create through the other initiatives. Now, the previous schemes might have had a different set of objectives and different set of interventions, but this one directly incentivizes both the employer and the employee, and also gives an incentive for the employer to become more formal as well, and it is spread over a multiple period of years. If you look at the scheme B, for example, it runs for 4 years, and the amount of sums involved is very substantial. And then the scheme number 1 and 3, the scheme 1 talks about first time jobs, scheme C talks about job creation happening in already large employers. If you are an employer with 1,000 people on your rolls already, and if you are creating additional jobs, then I think the potential for them to be able to generate even more jobs become that much bigger. So in that sense, the trilogy of these schemes addresses both job creation in small and medium enterprises and also in large enterprises, addresses manufacturing and services sectors, addresses new jobs, not necessarily first-time jobs, but also first-time job creation. So it kind of leaves no corner unattended with respect to employment generation.
I turn to the Revenue Secretary. There's a little bit for everybody in this budget, but the response initially from the capital markets was, we've been dealt a rough hand, a stick has been wielded as far as capital gains taxation is concerned.
Well, this first of all, this is really a simplification measure.
Okay.
There was this commentary that the capital gains taxation is very, very complex. The holding periods for different asset classes, and same asset classes also, if it is listed, there is a different rate.
Absolutely.
If it is non-listed, it is a different rate. Indexation is given to certain asset classes, not given to certain asset classes. Holding periods are different. So the first thing that the government has done, and that we believe, has been a continuing agenda for us, and that is something which we believe will help in promoting investment, in promoting employment. Apart from the scheme, you talked about employment. How do taxation regimes help in promoting investment and employment is a very, very major theme in this particular budget. Simplification, we believe, bringing in tax, because that brings in tax certainty, it reduces disputes, and so it spurs investment and so employment. And so this capital gains really, is a simplification which we have attempted in the process. Yes, a very marginal increase of 2.5% is there, on certain asset classes, on the listed securities. It's a very small increase. I may also tell you that this tax is primarily paid by those who are in the higher income classes.
Right.
We did an analysis for the capital gains that we received in the year 22-23.
Okay.
And we found that the long-term capital gains tax is actually paid primarily by those who have an income of more than 15 lakh rupees. 88% of the income of about 40,000 crore that we got that year is by those having income more than 15 lakh. 60% plus is coming from those who are having an income of 1 crore more. So I think this is a tax which is on those who can afford it.
Right.
And this is well spent because it goes for various schemes of the government.
You wanted to comment on that?
Comment on what Sanjay said. I think this complaint that the budget proposals hit at the capital market investors. How do you think that the capital market gains of the last 4 years happened? They happened because of the government's policy of fiscal prudence and stability.
Yes.
That kept inflation low, interest rates low, and which gave the markets, the investors, the confidence that this government is not going to become fiscally profligate, etc., which would have sent interest rates much higher.
And an upgrade after almost 14 years, hard work.
A credit rating outlook upgrade. And today, the 10-year bond yield of India is lower than the 10-year bond yield of Indonesia, which has a one-notch higher credit rating than India. And all these actually play into the capital market valuations because of the lower discount rate. So I think we need to...
So it can't be that if you are gaining, you don't give credit.
You are gaining because of government's prudent macroeconomic and fiscal policies.
That's a very good point. Mr. Malhotra, I continue on the taxation aspect. What is the government hoping to achieve from the removal of indexation for housing capital gains? And an associated clarification, I haven't seen all the fine print. Has indexation been done away across asset classes?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned to you, this is more of a simplification. So I mean, if you have indexation for real estate, why don't you have it for shares? Why don't you have it for the FDs, for the term deposits? So I mean, all asset classes are similar. The returns are in rupees. They are all similar returns. The incomes are in rupees, whether the asset class is real estate, gold, or anything else.
Yeah.
So it's more of a simplification that it has been done away with. However, I may clarify that indexation benefit till 2001 continues, because we had given a one-time indexation recalculation of the costs. So whatever are the costs in 2001, or the costs indexed, the cost of acquisition indexed to 2001, that benefit will continue. After that, of course, there is no indexation on sales affected today onwards.
On housing, what is the objective? What do you seek to achieve? What have you tried to simplify there? Because on unmanned, it's been reduced from 3 to 2 years. The rate has been reduced, but indexation has been done away with. So what is the hope behind this move?
As I mentioned to you, it is about simplification.
Okay.
Have a simple rate. 20% is a high rate with indexation for some. If the returns are actually very high, 12% and more, this rate actually of 20% with indexation works out to more than 12.5%. Please appreciate that point.
Fair point.
So it is for most of them, it is actually a reduction, because houses, land, urban lands, residential lands, commercial lands and properties, they actually increase at rates much more than 12% per annum. And so for them, it is actually, for most of them, it is a reduction in the rates. But as I said to you, it is more of a simplification that we have tried to attempt with doing away with indexation on certain asset classes which were having that indexation classes, but indexation benefit, but at a higher rate. That rate has been reduced.
There's so much to unpack, but we have limited time, so I'll try and do this as quickly as possible. First term of Prime Minister Modi, big bang reforms. Second term, stability and dealing with the shock.
Yeah.
What does the budget say for the third term?
So you're right. The first term was about ease of doing business, structural reforms like GST, IBC, RERA. Second term was about managing COVID and emphasis on public investment and digital public infrastructure. And the third term is about, as the surveys talked about, it is about the nuts and bolts of reforms, boosting employment, skilling, and addressing energy security and creating India's Mittelstand, the small and medium enterprises. So that is the theme that the budget clearly signals.
Okay, one final question, and we are having some trouble with electricity here. Mr. Malhotra, one of the features of the budget may not have been fully appreciated. The fact that the peak rate for foreign companies has been brought down. It's come down to 35%. Some people might have expected 30. In 2019, you did something for as a lower tax rate. Has that clause, new manufacturing entities, lower rate of taxation, been completely ended now, and we have just basically two rates of taxation for corporate entities?
Absolutely. I mean, that was sunset earlier. That was not extended, and so that is sunset. However, we have a very, very attractive and a very reasonable tax rate. You know, if you compare it with other economies of our size, especially,
right,
this rate of 22% plus surcharge, etc., working out to effectively 25% is a very, very reasonable rate. And in line with our effort to promote investment, foreign investment, especially number of measures, one of them being this reduction in corporate tax rate to 35% for the foreign companies.
And annual tax also. One final point, when is the old tax regime going to be done away with?
The FM answered that question, and there is no date that we have set for it. However, we would like to, we would hope that more and more people shift to the new tax regime. For the benefit of your viewers, 68% this year have already shifted as per, you know, the returns, and we hope that the new tax regime, you know, becomes the standard and the only regime soon, but there is no sunset date for the old tax regime.
Mr. Malhotra and Dr. Nageswaran, thank you very much for your time. We'll continue our conversations with our budget makers. Do stay tuned in. Bye-bye.
Honorable Speaker, I present the budget for 24-25.